Please rise and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hello and welcome to the school committee meeting of Monday, July 15th, 2019. This is your reminder that this meeting is being electronically recorded. We're going to start tonight with another introduction of a new administrative hire we have here in the district, and for that I'll turn it over to the superintendent, Mr. Sawyer.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to invite up Mr. Connor and Mr. Hale. To be honest, the WAMSATA process concluded quite some time ago, and Mr. Connor can remind us about the timeline, but there were a couple things going on at the time that got in the way of this introduction, so we did not want to forget, so we made sure to circle back and make this moment possible. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Mr. Connor.
Good evening, everybody. Pleased to announce Doug Heel as the new assistant principal. When it became clear in around Christmas time that Mr. Lamore was going to be retiring, that was a real nice thing he did for us by announcing early. Allowed us to get on top of the search early. We posted the job in early January, or mid-January, I'd say. We assembled a very, very large, as Mr. Hill can attest to, screening committee. We had representatives from pretty much every content area, every grade level, and clerk and paraprofessional representation as well. We reviewed about 35 applications. We chose to interview about 10 folks. There were some pretty compelling candidates. The screening committee narrowed it down to 2 finalists, one of which was Mr. Heel. I spent a half day inviting the 2 finalists in. We observed some classes, discussed about what we saw, and it was a difficult decision to make, but because they were both excellent candidates. But Doug, for a variety of reasons, really rose to the top. He so 14 years in Attleboro? 13 years in Attleboro now. We've worked together in the past at the high school. He was a special education teacher, special education department chair. He became a dean of students for 7 years. And then most recently, he's the dean of student support services, where he deals with at-risk populations. His expertise in attendance and discipline, the positive relationships he's formed with students and their families over the years really stood out, and we are very confident that he'll be an excellent addition to the WAMSATA staff. When I was looking for someone for the role, I was thinking, special education expertise is always nice. It's not a great strength of mine. And his, like I said, his ability to do discipline effectively in a really thoughtful manner really mattered to me. And his references from the high school were excellent. I know his work ethic inside and out from having worked with him for a number of years as well. And I'm really confident he's going to do a great job. He's already done a great job. He spent the better part of the 2 weeks of his June vacation. Instead of bailing out early, he was with myself and Mr. Lamore, getting the schedule together and doing the handoff. So the handoff is now complete, and Doug and I will look forward to spending the rest of July kind of strategizing a little bit, and then in August, when we return full time, really trying to pick up where we left off in June with the students, and really try to raise expectations for everybody, for the teachers, from the administrative staff, of the students, the teachers of the students, and like I said, we're really happy and really confident that Doug's going to do a great job. So, with that said, I'd like to introduce Doug Heel as the assistant principal of WAMSATA Middle.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. So first off, I want to thank Mr. Connor and the entire interview committee, the large committee, for their providing me this opportunity. So thank you. I started at Attleboro High School 13 years ago. It was my first job out of college. So this transition is definitely bittersweet for me, but something I'm really excited about. I've been working there now for the past couple of weeks, and this new role will definitely have its challenges. The first I've identified is the adjustment in age group, but with my experience and the skills I developed over the course of my career, I'm confident that there'll be positive outcomes for everyone. So I want to thank you, and I really look forward to working with the Wamsutta community. So thank you.
Thank you and congratulations. Thank you for taking on the role. We look forward to working with you in this capacity. It's always nice to see, homegrown talent, rise to different administrative openings that pop up because of your familiarity with the district and also the district's familiarity with you. I think that, adds a level of comfort that, that you'll fit in and do the job in an effective way. So thank you. And with that, I'll open it up for any questions or comments. Mr. Geddes?
So congratulations. Congratulations to Ray on his retirement. And with that, you do have some big shoes to fill. But in the days that I've spent in Attleboro High School over the last few years, I don't think I've ever seen you sitting still or in the same spot. So I think what I was going to ask you what you thought your biggest challenge would be, and you already mentioned the transition in age group. So I think your energy will help ease that transition for you. So congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate
good luck.
it. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions or? No, so again, thank you very much. I usually say welcome, but we're not welcoming you to the district, but welcome to the new position, and look forward to hearing from you in this role. So thank you.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, good
Have a
night.
good summer.
Next on the agenda tonight is our report of the superintendent, and for that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Sawyer.
Thank you, Chairman Withers. I have a few brief updates for you this evening. First, Ms. Regan and I have returned from the conference on the Cape that we went to last week. The Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents does their Executive Institute every year in July. I think we both appreciate the opportunity to go there, to enjoy the keynote speakers, which are always quite strong, but also to hear from Commissioner Riley for the second year in a row. I think it's a real window into the thinking at the state level and a sense of where we're headed. I would just say that two themes that I think really emerged over our time there. One is the importance of our work around equity. Really resonates with us. It's certainly something that came on strong in many of the presentations that we participated in. And I feel good about the work that we've done and continue to do and need to continue to work on. But, this is not a new concept for Attleboro, and hearing the message, I feel like we're on the right track in terms of at least our approach, and look forward to redoubling our efforts. The other thing I would mention is that Commissioner Riley's comments, he I think was previewing at that moment his report, Our Way Forward, which has since been published. Again, it was a culmination of his message that we've heard in a couple different settings, most notably when he came to visit at Studley this year. So nothing new there, but again, I am encouraged by his appreciation for the fact that the accountability system that we've been working under since the creation of ed reform back in '93 has served its purpose well. It has helped Massachusetts to improve, and I think Ms. Regan and I would both say that from our perspective, outcomes in Attleboro have improved as a result of that law. But that something written 25 years ago has reached a point at which we need to start to rethink about what needs to come next. And I think the state recognizes that we need to make some changes, and that we've learned some lessons about how our best thinking in 1993 didn't turn out to be exactly right, and that some things that were actually spot on in 1993 have gotten to a point where we need to do something a little bit different to take that next step. So I really, again, feel like the district is well poised to be at the leading edge of all this at a state level, and as Massachusetts is the best educational state in the country, on a national and international level. So it's pretty exciting work. Just by way of specifics, one focus that I think again really resonates well with us is what the commissioner and others refer to as deeper learning, which not to get too jargony here, it just means that you can teach students things and they can actually show achievement on a test, but does that necessarily mean that they're going to know those things in the long term, in the long future? And I think if we all reflect on our own educations, we perhaps have forgotten more than we retained. And so, we're really looking to focus in on what helps us to remember the things that do stick with us, because those are the things that are going to pay the greatest dividends. So I'm glad to hear that the state is reflecting on that and wishes to think about how its accountability system in general and its test in particular affects our ability to deliver on those outcomes. Last week, Camp Invention ran at Wamsutta. We had over 80 students attending, and was another big success for us, so we were happy to have that going on in the district. I wanted to tell people watching at home that central registration will be opening starting July 30th. The hours on that day are 2:30 to 6:30, then again on August 1st from 8 to 1, then August 6th from 2:30 to 6:30, and then August 8th again from 8 to 1. With all the construction that you all enjoyed on trying to get back into the room today, we're moving registration to the principal's lobby, or as it is affectionately known, the pit. So please, families looking for registering their kids, it would be great if they could make use of those times and get that done in advance. As you know, every year we're always surprised by how many people we end up registering after the fact. Just quickly, hiring still is a focus of the district right now in July. We have a number of vacancies. And in fact, it's, as always, a moving target. We hire some people and then other people resign and move on to other opportunities. So we continue to do our best to fill those. Most notably, the assistant principal at Thatcher is a process that is now underway, and they're interviewing this week. So we look forward to having a completion of that process so we can bring that administrative team to its completion. I included in the packet for you over the weekend the letter we received from DESE that Attleboro has been selected for a district review. We had the opportunity to meet with our liaison when we were on the Cape last week. So a lot more details yet to come, but Attleboro has not been part of this process in over 5 years. So in that sense, we are due. And they assure us that it's an opportunity for us to get some feedback from an outside set of eyes, and that it's really about us helping to improve our outcomes and not really about accountability or compliance per se. So as we learn more, we'll keep you informed. We have to set time for that to happen, and there'll be a whole set of interviews that go on during their 4-day visit when they come. So we will certainly keep you informed about that. And then finally, just by way of construction update, we are wrapping up bid package 3. And the good news there is that the project at this stage of the game, with 3 of 4 bid packages pretty much complete, is that we are under budget. Now, the majority of the project cost is in actually bid package 4, so we can't call that a completed mission yet, but it is good that we continue to get good results on those bids. The other notable thing is that with all the parking lot work that's going on right now, Bushy Street lot will be completed and available starting July 22nd. Then the lot abutting Sweet Forest will be the next one that gets done, and then the front lot, which will be used by people trying to get to central office, will be the third to be completed. All of these should be done well ahead of the start of school, and in total they add up to more parking spots, just slightly over what we already had. So in theory, with those 3 additional lots added in, we are taking care of the pool lot, which will no longer be available to the public. So that is it for my updates. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Regan, who's going to talk to you about the strategic plan.
Thank you, Superintendent Sawyer. So I was able to provide you with an updated document from Hanover Research. They were able to compile all the information that I provided to them in an infographic, just a different way to look at it. Information is pretty much the same. So, plan review. So in order to really take a look at all of the goals and objectives and the smaller pieces that were a part of this very comprehensive plan, I had several meetings with people from all three levels, and Mr. Domenici was able to attend as well. And over all of those meetings, we discussed all the work that's being done across the district, some of the processes, some of the systems, and some of just the smaller concrete items that we've been able to accomplish along the way. It was very challenging to summarize this. I was trying to get it down to at least 2 pages, but that was very, very, very challenging to do, considering all the work that we accomplished, all the work that's still in process and where we are, and some of the things that just were not touched to date. Like I said before, several of the items that we'll discuss today are more about the processes that we've tried to put in place and then have directly benefited from as a district. So thinking about the overarching goals, again, just to remind you, goal 1 is more about guided planning. Goal 2 is about the quality of learning, and goal 3 is about our community engagement. We touched upon all of the initiatives that are listed there, but I would say the top 4 or the top 3 that led to enhanced student learning were improved external communication, and we were able to see that with the soup to nuts, with the district bulletin, with our increased presence on Facebook. We also upgraded our technology, and we continue to do so. That definitely has contributed to enhanced student learning. And for all the work that we did through the Professional Development Committee and the work that we've done through the instructional leadership teams, I think we've also refined our professional culture across the district and made a significant impact there. So for goal 1, guided planning, we had significant accomplishments here. Thinking about the professional development survey that was done, 69% of our educators were satisfied with our targeted professional development. Over 70% were satisfied with the choice pathway that we've created as a result of their needs and the response to their feedback that they provided to us. And 54% believe that the pathways that we've created are more effective than the former professional development that we had. So previous to the pathways, we would have choice options, but they were just one. Now we're offering a course where it's more consistent. People have an opportunity to go and try something and come back and ask questions, and they're able to collaborate with colleagues along the way. We've supported our commencement plan. We have the grad walks, all the middle schools. We have the senior spotlight, and we continue to think about ways to increase and to invite educators from preschool all the way to 12 plus to the event. PBIS is in all of our schools. We're all in different stages. Some are in tier 2, some are in tier 3, but everyone is implementing PBIS in some way. And every time that we've completed a budget process, we've definitely looked at all of the district learning priorities and used them as our guiding light of the things that we need to focus and prioritize our funds towards. Some of the things that are still in process here, I'm just going to highlight a couple. The district guidance team is still working to utilize Naviance more. Our goal here is to bring parents in on the conversation, have them create more goals, and have students recognize that Naviance can really help them as they're looking forward to college planning and preparation. We're also looking at transitions with the district guidance team from the middle school to the high school, so we have some different opportunities for our high school guidance counselors to work with the middle school students before they get up to the high school and help them with course selection. That's been a very positive experience for them. We've also supported the targeted PD in each building with the instructional leadership team. So each small, I guess, building cabinet of teacher leaders is really the team that's building the professional development to create that professional culture that we're looking for in each building. And then finally, we're continuing to build up our one-to-one environment and our technology, and that's always going to be something that we need to continually update. I'm not sure if we'll ever be able to say that we're done upgrading our technology. I think that's always changing, right? One of the untouched initiatives is for the family engagement schedule for the MyCap or the ILPs, and that goes along with Naviance, and we recognize that we need to include parents in on the conversation.
Mr. Quinn, do you have a question?
Yeah, in terms of the PD, I think the feedback that you got is really positive. I think it was interesting you mentioned the commissioner's report, particularly in his reference to In Search of Deeper Learning, the John Mehta, Sarah Fine book. And one of the big takeaways from that book is that in order for teachers to create deeper learning experiences, they need to have them themselves. And I think to the extent that the PD can provide that, I love that the choice pathway allows for that iterative design. I am curious if you got any, in the effort of like continuous improvement, what thoughts were provided in terms of, just moving that needle up from 70 to let's say 75, 80, and that 54%, was there any concrete feedback given to you in terms of what could be redesigned or adjusted?
I think they just want more choices. They
Okay.
want more opportunities, and they specifically said they wanted things that were specific to special education. They wanted things that were specific to social emotional learning. And so actually this year coming on board for the choice pathways, that is our most popular one. It's full. Every day we get emails saying, can you add me to the list? Can you add me to the list? So we definitely are responsive to the needs of the educators along the way.
And just kind of going back to the mission, the need to provide and design relevant learning experiences. Like, I think we sometimes need to think of our educators as learners as well and having them see it. So I think it's really wonderful that you're pushing to make that a possibility within the goals in the context of the district goals. Awesome.
Thank you. So for goal 2, quality learning, the 2 things that we feel like we've accomplished at this point are the targets for class sizes and educator planning. We definitely know where we would like to go. Our stake is in the ground for those, and we're working hard to get there. And we also have a comprehensive district professional development plan. That plan is constantly evolving and is flexible. It's a living, working document based upon the needs of the educators. But it is there, it's a process, it's a system, and I feel like it's working for us. A couple of the things that for quality learning that are still in process here. So the very first bullet, the grade span configuration, is definitely in process. We're looking at providing more opportunities for dual enrollment, and school choice is definitely one that's there, and we're working on it and hoping to expand that moving forward next year. Curriculum revision should never be completely done. You're always going to be working on it, just like any other profession. You don't want someone to say, yeah, I'm done, that's done. 20 years is curriculum changes, education changes every single day. So we want to be able to keep up with that. And finally, the school improvement plans, those were modified from a 1-year plan to a 2-year plan. So we're just finishing up our 2-year plan this year, and we'll be writing our next cycle coming on up. And we did change the headings to student growth and outcomes, school environment, which includes professional culture and climate, and family community engagement. In process again, so one of the things that the Professional Growth Council is quite proud of is our ID, or our instructional design. It's basically a toolbox of strategies that's up on our website. We're going to be talking about it more this year with our teachers that they can utilize to learn more about the steps of the lesson design and how they can improve their day-to-day instruction. We feel that we have significantly benefited and are blessed to have so many partners across the city who have helped us to increase our experiential learning opportunities for our students, and also the district technology plan that is still in process, but it is a plan that we're working on. Again, I don't know if that'll ever be completely done because we want to keep up with the times and keep it as a living, working document. couple things that we're still thinking are important for us that we want to continue to work on is a system for community volunteerism. So some type of training for volunteers to come in and work with our students and to support our teachers, and also community participation for learning experiences.
Mr. Geddes?
Going back to the initiatives in progress, on the graphic, there's a box that notes 69% of APS staff stated that collaborative teams in the district need more time to meet. Was that overwhelmingly because right above it talks about working to improve collaboration at AHS within scheduling parameters? Was a good chunk of that 69% here at the high school? Was it across all levels? Was there?
So the high school does really want more time to meet. There are significantly more opportunities at the elementary and middle school level for teachers to meet, and so that just supports our scheduled proposals for teachers to be given time during the school day to meet, to be able to do that deep learning, that collaboration that they so desire in order to improve their day-to-day instruction. So.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Storrs?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Earlier, when you were talking about school choice, what's the context that you're indicating with that statement?
To be able to make it, this year we only had one student. We really didn't get the word out there.
Oh, that okay.
Yeah.
That initiative.
Yes.
So next year, improving upon it.
Improving upon it, right.
All right. Thank you.
As it being more in process.
Mhm.
We tried it this year. We have one student. We're happy that we have one student. We we knew that our system worked, but we also recognize that our system needs to be updated as well.
Thank you.
Mr. Quinn?
What I really have always appreciated about this plan, and particularly the goals, is that I think I've always seen them as more than a 5-year goal. Like, this is a plan that could be revised rather than overhauled, as strategic plans are often. We declare victory, but really there's a lot of really good work left to be done. And I think goal 2 in particular is an area that I think has so much rich area to uncover, because I see a lot of feedback from the adults. I'm curious what the students feel are defining what their personalized is, their learning experience personalized to the point where they're engaged and they're challenged and they're inspired. Do we have a shared definition of that? I mean, I think that, again, this is 10-year work, not 5-year work. I would love to see some student feedback on some of those items to the extent, and then I'd like to know, what would be really excellent too is, we used to, but now we, as a result of that, so that and I think this all goes back to this idea of how do we tell a better story, so that way our standardized test scores don't define us. But I think there's just so much really wonderful work in terms of goal 2. I'm curious to see the student piece, and then just kind of that evidence of change. It seems really clear that the teachers are super positive on it. I'm confident that the students are as well. But it'd be just really nice to see that data is in a big picture.
I agree with you. I'd love to see that too. So. We'll add that to the
10-year plan. It's
10-year plan. One of the things that we accomplished in Goal 3 is we do have an APS foundation. We're looking at ways to start to utilize that and make it more prevalent in the work that we do day to day. Many things are in process here for community engagement. I think we are building programs to come into our schools, and we are also building programs to send students out for experiential learning. Again, one of the things that I talked about earlier in the presentation is our increased communication with Soup to Nuts, the district bulletin, and also our presence on Facebook. I'm sure that I forgot someone on this slide, and I apologize in advance, but I would be remiss if I didn't thank all of our partners that have helped us over the past 4 years to showcase student work, to support our students' learning, to provide us funding, to help with after-school activities, to help with during the day school activities. And I think many of the people that you see, or many of the organizations that are listed up here, have been in front of this committee presenting at some point. And so these are our partners, and we would just want to make sure we take the time to thank them. A couple of the things that we want to make sure that are recognized and still in process is obviously be heard. is still in process. It's still a huge work in process. It's something that we are committed to and really want to continue to engage the community in our work to really truly be the center of the community, united around education. A couple of our untouched initiatives here. One would be standing committees to support district planning. The second one would be the creation of CTE programs to support adult learning, and also increasing the offerings that we have for our evening programs for adults, and also thinking about appropriate spaces for the walk-in public. And so we know that with the new building, we will have spaces for that, and we know that it is in process, but it's in the planning process, and we want to be able to provide more opportunities for that as well. So, moving forward into year 5, it is a planning year to take a look at our current mission, vision, essential beliefs, and goals to see where we are. But this final year is also a year for us to continue working on the plan that we have. All of these goals and objectives and essential beliefs and mission and vision are things that we truly believe in and are still continuing to work toward. So they're not going to go away. But we do need to start to think about the next 5 years and include some of the things that Mr. Quinn mentioned about student feedback, and for Goal 2, I think that should be part of the 10-year plan as well. So, and just to wrap this up to show you how far we've come, we are right now on the second half of their second benchmark of year 4 with the strategic self-evaluation, and we are moving into establishing our 2025 goals, and we're hoping to be able to present them to you in January and a full plan about a year from now.
Thank you. Any questions, any other questions or comments? I just thank you again for this updated report and all the work that's been done over the last 4 years on this plan. It's, a lot of progress has been made, and the good thing with the plan, I think Mr. Quinn touched on, is that it all seems relevant and still today. So it's something we can continue to tweak going forward rather than overhaul, and continue to make improvements. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so at this time, I'd like to call up Mr. Furtado. He's going to update us on FY19.
We will. With City Hall deadlines, we actually closed FY19 on Thursday of last week. We have about $150,000 in encumbrances that are going to carry forward to pay bills that come in from Thursday on. Anticipated bills that we believe are still out there. That list is not perfect, so typically some money falls out from that. Bills that come in less than we expected, a utility bill or a water bill. But as of today, we are sitting on about a surplus of $36,000, which includes the $50,000 that the city gave us to close out the year. I think there's a reasonable shot at returning that money once all the encumbrances are exhausted, but that's sort of where we landed.
So we finished the year essentially, if we finish 36,000, that's $36,000 in the black essentially.
Yeah.
Out of our budget. So what does that work on a percentage basis?
It's a lot of zeros.
A lot of zeros. Well, I mean, I know we make this point every year, but it's important, for the public to understand that we cannot finish in the red. We have to finish with a surplus, and with a budget of this size to come in so close is a testament to your leadership of of what's gone on the past year. So thank you.
Thank you. We again, we are still hoping to return in full the 50,000 that was given to us at the end of the year. We projected that 50 in May and processed about 7 million in payroll and another million or so in expenses since that time. So a lot of economic activity to kind of land where we thought we would be, and a lot of hard work by a lot of people.
Any questions or comments? Mr. Larson?
Just my complete thanks. We spent a lot of time together over this past 12 months and a lot of very difficult conversations. And, to you and your team, you guys did a fantastic job as always, but I have no idea. I mean, 6 months ago, the number that we were looking at, I think was keeping both of us awake. And to be able to even get within $100,000 of where we were trying to get to was truly amazing. So, my complete thanks.
Mr. Storrs?
Once again, great job for you and your team. You always amaze me at the end of the year. One question, transportation, how did we do in that area there?
We've got, I want to say, $300 returning. Yeah, we went right down to the penny there.
Okay. Do the math on that one.
That was another subject that every month it would be up or down, up or down.
Yeah,
So it was a
moved
matter
up
of,
quite a bit.
okay, we gotta hit this one on the right month.
Yeah.
Mr. Quinn?
I think it's worth noting too that to get into the black, there were a lot of sacrifices or planned things
lot.
that I'm sure that principals at the central office level had to be jettisoned, like repair projects that are going to have to be kicked the can that's already been kicked down the road 5+ years. So what I don't want to give is like this impression that we got everything we wanted and still landed with 36,000. It was that we tightened our belts like a lot of families do in this type of situation, and that we were being fiscally responsible, and to commend this team for being proactive when they identified the problem. I mean, we'll go into that a little bit later, but thanks for doing what was necessary and still finding a way to make that number not zero. So
Yeah, the schools did an amazing job, and unfortunately, the sacrifices they made this year sort of carried over into the 20 budget, which is a real concern for me, and I know for the superintendent and assistant superintendent, because you do need textbooks and supplies to do the work that gets done here. So the state has not yet landed on their budget, so as soon as that happens, we're going to do everything we can to try to restore some of those funds and give the schools some materials to do their work with.
Mr. Geddes?
So to that point, at the risk of being a negative Nelly with all of this positive praise, which is absolutely well deserved, what Mr. Larson has been the loudest advocate of over the last few years of eventually these deficits are gonna catch up to us. It looks like for
It's
for
here.
20, it's here.
Yeah.
That we had to make some sacrifices for 19, and now that those are showing up for next year, and there's no indication that we're going to bottom out on that and start coming back up, pending the state allocations.
Even the most optimistic budget possibilities for us with the state budget will go toward filling substantial gaps that we are aware of and we're told to actually go forward with in salary lines. So it'll be a very big challenge for the schools to get what they need to do their work.
And just to echo, I mean, as Mr. Larson said earlier, the amount that we were thinking of 6 months ago, or even back in October when this team first reached out to the city, when we were looking at over $1 million deficit coming in at $36,000 surplus, is incredible. So great job, thank you.
Thank you. I look forward to the time we're sitting here where we're not talking about, cuts we had to make that, to get to this number, but, we have to get to a number on the black, and I appreciate you and the administration doing everything you can to do so in a way that has the least impact on students. It certainly at this point can't be a way that has no impact on them, but to minimize that as much as possible is crucial, so thank you.
That concludes my report.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sawyer, Mr. Furtado, and Ms. Regan. Next on the business agenda tonight, we have the superintendent's evaluation. As we all know, annually we're required to do an evaluation of the superintendent that then gets submitted to the state. As part of this process, I requested both ratings and comments from each of you, and I thank all of you who took the time to get that information to me. Based on the ratings and comments I received from committee members as well as my own thoughts, I prepared a evaluation for the committee that was circulated today. And at this point, I would entertain a motion to accept, and it provides ratings in instructional leadership of exemplary, management and operations exemplary, family and community engagement exemplary, professional culture exemplary, and overall exemplary.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion and comments?
Just,
What?
just
Scales?
exemplary. I mean, we would not be where we are today if it wasn't for your leadership, and everywhere from the strategic plan that you helped put together to just the day-to-day operation is just, we owe a lot to where we are because of you, so just thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Quinn?
I what I'm about to say, I say with all respect to all of the folks sitting around the table, all of my colleagues over on Park Street. But Mr. Superintendent, I do believe that you are the most credible leader in the city. And I think that you time and again find ways to see the entire board, the bigger picture for the betterment of the community. And I also think, to the tribute to the other people sitting at the table, that you empower them to be exemplary as well. I think it's, as Ms. Scales said, that you're an asset to the city, and just there are a couple things I want to touch upon because I think we sometimes talk in generalities because that's just what we do as humans. But I think there's some really specific examples this year that I'd love to highlight. Some of them are continuing, but from the instructional leadership, from the high school project to the spotlight meetings that are every single month, that people can see what's going on. That we're finally stepping into 21st century with the one-to-one learning initiative that's talked about, but we find a way to make it happen. And that the administrative team has just been functioning so well that if people are leaving, they're leaving because they're retiring or because they're going to promotions, right? It's not these lateral movements. So I think it's just wonderful. In terms of management and operations, again, the proactive approach that you all took to identify this problem, be upfront about this problem, and not try to hold your breath and try to get by, was both forward-thinking and courageous, right? Other administrative teams might have just tried to hold their breath and get by and then say, well, what are we going to do? But you stepped up. And I think, even on the small area, like the mitigation of the smokestack issue, that's another thing that just kind of falls under the radar, right? Also, and this kind of goes to Mr. Furtado, that, the bus registration process, which is a huge problem, seems to be getting better, right? So there's this continuous improvement there. Family and community engagement, the continued outreach that you try with different mediums to reach families, from the new bulletin to the podcast to the Facebook. I also think it's, both humorous, but also a sign of, meeting the needs of the community when you announce that there is going to be school on days when there might be snow, right? Like you are truly responding to the needs of the community. The response times on the Facebook page, I think, are very quick. And then, and that was a really challenging situation, but, when we had the issue of the threat at the high school, how you all were out front, Tribute to the, the folks on Park Street as well. Just the great integration of the municipal services, but you out front being visible, like your family was involved with this, right? Like, you had true skin in the game, and I just think that was just another example of your exemplary leadership. And then finally, with professional culture, seems to be very limited staff turnover, right? Like we've stemmed the tide from where we were, when we had all those layoffs. The sustainability in the administrative ranks, as I mentioned before, but also, there are no issues bubbling up to this committee. We, when I was in CCONC, there were fairly regular executive sessions. How many have we had related to a personal issue? None. And I think that's the collaborative leadership that you set, so that we can focus. We got enough challenges as it is, and you go out of your way to ensure that there are not additional ones, but again, keeping your eye on the big picture. And we're fortunate to have you, and I hope you stay for as long as you like.
Mrs. Doris.
First of all, well-deserved. I've been around a little while, and I've seen things change, especially under your leadership. Where we are today is night and day than where we were a decade ago, or whatever it was. The culture under your leadership is a joy to see. The thing that I really appreciate, and I mentioned it in my input to the chairman, is your management style. Yeah, I really appreciate it. You're not a micromanager. You give everybody, all the administration, all of the staff members, you give them the ability to take ownership for what they're responsible for, do their jobs. You don't micromanage. You hold accountability as you should, but you let them do their jobs. And I very much appreciate that. And I want to say the same thing, that I hope we see you in this role for a long time. So thank you.
Mr. Larson.
I've had the opportunity to see you in a number of different venues, both inside and outside of the school, and at different committees and different events, and your level of professionalism never ceases to amaze me, that you can keep yourself level when all around you from time to time be, let's just say, not level. And I've spoken in the past about the team that you've put together that's running the district, and I think people don't realize that putting a team together is one step. Keeping the team together and maintaining that and working together collaboratively, the way I've seen you do that with the people sitting around you and the others that aren't here, but we all know, is a true testament to your leadership. They wouldn't be there if you weren't there. I truly believe that. And the fact that they're all still working together with you, I have great praise for all of them, but somebody has to be up front steering the boat, and I think you're doing a great job. Thank you.
Mr. Geddes.
Just echo some of the praise around staff consistency. Like Mr. Quinn said, the fact that a lot of our vacancies come from people moving up in the district because they want to stay here. And for the most part, a lot of the folks that are leaving are just because they're retiring. And I think something I mentioned to the chairman and is touched upon here is we always talk about how the schools do more with less, and this year is a great example of that. But as the less gets less, it seems like the schools do more, which to do more with less is one thing, but to continue to excel with even fewer resources is that much more amazing. The other thing I've been impressed by is your leadership, not just within the district, the advocacy that you've made for public education across the state, working with Representative Hawkins at the State House to talk about budgeting concerns, to talk about standardized testing. I think is an indication that it's not just our praise that you deserve. It's really at the state level. There should be a recognition of how lucky we are to have you steering our ship. So thank you very much, and congratulations. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Ms. Johnson.
And again, also echoing a lot of what my colleagues have said here, we see year after year the crunch in the budget and the limited resources. And while we're experiencing those challenges, the school district continues to excel. And I think that's in large part of setting very high standards. And that's very difficult dance to maintain, setting and maintaining high standards and high expectations while being in a very challenging environment that doesn't have all the resources that we need. And I think one reason why our educators and our district is so committed to maintaining those standards and meeting those standards is that they see your commitment and that you're always out there clearing the path and allowing them to be able to do their job and to excel at their job as much as they can with our limited resources. And I think they understand your commitment to the district, and I believe that inspires them as well. So thank you for doing that for our district.
All right, and then I guess I'll just add a couple of things. First, so you don't get too big of a head over crazy. This is a valuation of you, obviously, and it's well deserved. But it's also a large part of reflection of your team. So, I hope that you'll pass on our thanks to your administrative team who do great work for the district. And I'll say thank you to Ms. Regan and Mr. Furtado who are here right now. But as I'm sure you acknowledge and understand, their role is crucial as well. And it's as has been mentioned, a testament to your leadership that you put together such a quality team. And then the final point I would make is that the rating process is a strange one in that you pick between 4 ratings, the highest being exemplary, and exemplary meaning to mean kind of top tier and to be a rare rating, and we acknowledge that and considering the ratings, and I think in the past we've held back from going the full exemplary because of how rare it's supposed to be and what it's supposed to signify. But I think at this point it's well deserved. Your growth, what you've done for the district, your leadership in the district, and frankly throughout the city, and your stature it's well earned and deserved. And it was without hesitation that rating got bestowed. So thank you and congratulations for that. So with that, we have the motion. One more point I would make, and this is clerical, before the vote, is that there's a typographical error on page 2 of the evaluation. The date in the header will be changed to July 15th, 2019. So we have a motion with that change to approve the superintendent's evaluation of exemplary across the board with the comments that circulated to the district, through the committee. It's been seconded. We'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Quinn?
Yes.
Mrs. Storrs?
Yes.
Mr. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Withers, yes. Mrs. Scales?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Geddes?
Yes.
Mrs. Sawyer?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you. That concludes the business agenda tonight, and we'll move on. Next, we have minutes from our June 24th, 2019 meeting. Draft minutes were circulated with the packet. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda is just one item tonight. Pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 53A and a half, motion to accept the following new backboards and rims at Hyman Fine and Hill Roberts Elementary Schools, totaling 4 on Main Court with an estimated total value of $5,000, and 100 to 120 new basketballs, approximately 10 to 12 basketballs per school throughout the district, to be donated to each school for gym and recreational use with an approximate total value of $3,000.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion? Mr. Quinn?
So if the backboard's worth 5, and is it saying the approximate total value of the
The
basketballs?
basketballs.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 120 basketballs, so it's $5,000 for the backboards at the 2 schools,
Okay.
$3,000 for the basketballs throughout the district.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Geddes.
I would say hopefully we can replace the floors at Hyman Fine and Hill Roberts soon to go along with these exceptional new backboards, and thank you to the AYBA.
Anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
That concludes the consent agenda tonight. Open forum. I do not see anyone here that would like to address the committee at open forum, so I will close open forum. Is there anyone else have any business tonight?
Mr. Chairman.
Ms.
Yes,
Johnson?
I just wanted to ask Mr. Furtado if you have any update regarding busing and any deadlines we might want to review with the community.
Yeah, thank you. Just that the fee-for-service structure that the committee approved allows for a discount through this month, the month of July. So we would, strongly urge our families to get in if they intend on registering for a fee-for-service prior to the start of August, so they could enjoy the lower rates.
Thank you.
Could I suggest that perhaps we use our Facebook page to remind families?
That we will.
Anyone else have anything, new business for tonight? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.